The cold void of space. An ancient enemy stirs, unseen, devouring entire civilizations. For years, humanity has fought in secret, hiding in plain sight, building weapons for a war no one knows is coming. Now, it's here. The Arabus, a force beyond comprehension. And humanity, the last hope, stands ready. But what if they've been preparing for this moment all along? This is HFY Sci-Fi Love and War Story. Stay tuned until the end of the video to uncover the shocking truth about humanity's true strength and the galaxy's darkest secret. You won't believe what happens next. Like, comment, and subscribe so you don't miss a single detail as the story unfolds. The war has only just begun. The bridge of the Vurian scout ship feels like a tomb, cold and lifeless, the hum of the ship's engines the only thing that breaks the silence. Outside, the infinite expanse of space stretches before me, black, unfeeling, a void that holds secrets we may never understand. My mind is fixed on the task at hand as I peer through the viewing panel, my yellow eyes narrowing as the distant stars twinkle like cold diamonds. The void is an endless sea of unknowns, and we, the Vurian species, are merely sailors drifting upon it. We've been monitoring humanity for years now, observing their chaotic wars, their reckless expansion, their refusal to follow the orderly ways of the galactic powers. It's a species consumed by its passions, too emotional and impulsive to be of any true consequence. Or so we thought. But as our scanners pulse, I feel an unsettling shift. My clawed fingers tap the console, eyes scanning the data as it begins to stream in, filling the bridge with a soft hum. The sensor readings from the human warship, Indomitable, are unlike anything we've ever encountered. It's a massive anomaly in every way. I can feel a weight settle in my chest, my heart, if I can still call it that, pounding against my ribs. Indomitable is not just a ship, it is a creation of nightmare, a fortress forged from the darkest corners of human ingenuity. Its hull, vast and unyielding, is layered with a composite material unknown to us, a fusion of metals and exotic elements so resilient that even our most advanced energy weapons would be mere pinpricks against it. My claws tremble as I observe the data. This ship was built to withstand an assault of unimaginable ferocity, a siege designed to outlast the most brutal of enemies. As I study the ship's design, my thoughts are interrupted by the brutal display of its weaponry. The Indomitable bristles with armament that would make even the most battle-hardened military commanders pause in disbelief. Railguns capable of hurling projectiles at speeds that approach the very limits of relativity. Plasma lances, their light shimmering with raw destructive power, able to tear through even the strongest warship hulls in a fraction of a second. But what really catches my eye, what makes the hairs on the back of my neck stand upright, is the missile array. Thousands of warheads, each one designed not merely to explode, but to warp space itself, bending and distorting the very fabric of the universe. They're not just weapons, they are instruments of annihilation, capable of obliterating entire fleets in the blink of an eye. The realization sinks in like a heavy stone. The Indomitable is not designed to fight for territory or power. It is designed for something far darker. Then, the cold chill of terror slithers through me as I turn my gaze toward the ship's secondary systems. The data reveals a new, far more insidious aspect of the Indomitable. This ship does not simply destroy its enemies, it hunts them, actively seeking to track, chase, and neutralize those who would dare to oppose it. Boarding drones, their sleek bodies gleaming in the cold light of space, lie in wait within the bowels of the ship. Each one is outfitted with monomolecular blades sharp enough to cut through any known material, capable of slicing through even the toughest armor with ease. But these are not just tools for destruction. No, they are engineered with viral hacking protocols, designed to breach the very systems of enemy ships, infiltrating and disabling their defenses before the real destruction even begins. And then there are the Exot Troopers, cybernetic monstrosities, horrifying hybrids crafted from fallen human soldiers. These creatures, part man, part machine, are walking weapons, their bodies augmented with enough firepower to level entire cities. Their existence is a grim testament to the human will to survive, to adapt, to overcome. And I can't help but wonder what depths of depravity they've sunk to in order to create these nightmarish soldiers. The realization hits me with full force, a wave of cold dread washing over me. The humans have built this ship, this Indomitable, not to conquer the galaxy or to rule over us. They've built it for one thing, and one thing only: survival. They've crafted a war machine capable of facing down the most powerful enemies the galaxy has ever known. And I feel it now, the crushing weight of their intent. These creatures, these humans, are not simply another species struggling for power. They are a force of nature, a storm that will destroy anything that stands in their way. I take a slow, shaky breath, my eyes scanning the data one more time, hoping for some sign that I am mistaken. But there is no comfort here. There is only the cold, unfeeling truth. The Indomitable is a weapon, a reflection of the human savage nature, their relentless drive to survive at any cost. And the worst part? They will stop at nothing to protect themselves. As the sensors return more data, I realize with growing horror that I have underestimated them. We all have. The humans are not a primitive species. They are something far more dangerous, something we may not be able to stop once they unleash their full power. And now, the Indomitable waits in the cold silence of space, a dark, looming presence. Watching. Waiting. For what, I cannot say. But I know one thing for sure: whatever happens next, the galaxy will never be the same again. We were careful, or so I thought. The Vurian scout ship had been designed with precision, cloaked in the dark fabric of space, our stealth fields active, weaving a blanket of invisibility over our hull. The hum of the engines was soft, like the breath of the void itself. We had come into human space with the intent of watching, studying their warship from afar. The Indomitable, a ship of myth, a vessel unlike anything I had ever imagined. We were meant to be unseen, our presence unnoticed, just another blip in the sea of stars. But in the silence of space, my confidence falters. A ripple of energy vibrates through our ship, a pulse so subtle at first, it might have been the shift of a nearby asteroid or a cosmic storm in the distance. But then, the sensors flare to life with a crackling intensity, their readings off the charts. My skin tightens, every hair on my spine standing on end. They've found us. They know. How could I have been so blind? The humans have seen through our cloaking technology. The Indomitable, that cold, monolithic beast of a ship, now stirs. Its engines flare to life, a sudden burst of energy that sends shockwaves across the surrounding void. I can feel the sheer power vibrating in the very core of my being, a pulse that resonates with a ferocity I've never felt before. It's as if the ship itself is alive, breathing with a hunger that chills me to the bone. The sleek, dark silhouette of the Indomitable edges into view through the bridge's viewing panel, and I know in that instant, we are no longer invisible. The human ship locks onto our vessel with a precision that feels almost predatory. I've never seen anything move so deliberately, so confidently. Its weapons, a myriad of terrifying instruments of destruction, spring to life. Railguns, plasma lances, missiles, all primed, all ready. The display on our command console lights up with targeting data, each entry feeding into an inevitable conclusion: death. We are a mere moment away from destruction. I feel a cold sweat form on my brow, my heart racing. This is it, I think. Our fate, sealed by the arrogance of a species we had dismissed as insignificant. The bridge is tense, every officer around me frozen in place. Their faces are pale, their eyes wide with the dawning realization that we are no longer the hunters. We are the prey. And then, it happens. A voice crackles through the communication channel, mechanical, cold, and yet so undeniably human. It cuts through the air like a blade, steady and unyielding, without a trace of fear or hesitation. Unidentified vessel, you have been scanning a Terran warship. State your purpose immediately. The words hang in the air, pregnant with an authority that cannot be ignored. I feel my breath catch in my throat, my pulse quickening. This is not a request. This is a demand. A demand from a species that sees itself as something greater, something more. Panic surges through me, rushing through my veins like ice. My claws clench against the cold metal of the console. We can't afford to make the wrong move now. Every second matters. One wrong word, one mistake, and we are nothing more than a memory, a shattered ship floating in the void. I force myself to breathe, to steady my thoughts. My voice, when it comes, is tight with controlled fear, trembling only slightly despite my efforts to remain calm. This is High Captain Zorth of the Royan Exploration Fleet. We mean no harm. We were merely observing. I let the words hang in the air, hoping they will carry some weight, that perhaps the humans will see our retreat, our hesitation, and understand that we are not here to fight. But the silence that follows is suffocating, the seconds dragging on like a long, drawn-out death. The weight of their gaze, though unseen, presses against me. They are waiting. Watching. And then, unexpectedly, the voice returns. But this time, it is laced with something I wasn't prepared for, mockery. You thought we wouldn't notice? The voice sneers, cold and knowing. You thought your cloaking tech made you invisible? I feel my stomach twist, a deep, hollow sensation spreading through my chest. There is no fear in their voice, no hesitation, only the sharp sting of superiority. They knew. They had seen through us the entire time. We, the proud Varians, masters of stealth and subterfuge, had underestimated a species we had always believed beneath us. They saw through our cloaking fields as if they were nothing more than smoke and mirrors. The mockery in the human's voice is a bitter reminder of just how much we've misjudged them. We were fools. And then, with chilling finality, the human ship lets us go. They don't fire. They don't destroy us, even though they could. They don't need to. The Indomitable has already made its point. We are nothing. We are insignificant. And that is worse than death itself. The voice cuts through the silence one final time, its tone now softened, almost amused. Good choice. Now run along, little scout. And next time, remember who owns this sector. The transmission ends. The bridge falls silent, save for the soft hum of our own systems, which now feel unbearably loud. I am still in shock, still grappling with the enormity of what has just happened. The Indomitable has let us go, but not out of mercy. No, they have allowed us to leave because they know, because they can afford to let us go. They are not afraid. They have nothing to prove. We are no longer the predators in this vast galaxy. We are the hunted. And the humans, they are. We fled. I still feel the tremor of panic crawling beneath my skin, the echo of fear lingering in the cold silence of space as we jumped away from the Indomitable. The hum of our engines, once a comforting sound, now seemed hollow, a reminder of the immense terror I had just barely escaped. My thoughts are a blur as I watch the stars streak past the viewport, the cold emptiness of the void consuming everything in its path. The Indomitable didn't follow us. The human warship had let us go, perhaps out of sheer indifference. They had no need to chase us down, they had already shown us their power. And that, in itself, is more terrifying than any weapon they could have fired. We escaped, but I felt no relief. No joy. Instead, a weight pressed down on my chest, a cold, suffocating weight. It wasn't just the fear of what we had encountered, it was the realization of what humanity truly was. They weren't just another chaotic species, impulsive and emotional, struggling to find their place in the stars. No. They were something else entirely. They were a force of nature. As the Varian scout ship moved farther from human space, I felt the chill of that truth settle deeper into my bones. Humanity had become more than I ever imagined. I had seen their potential, their strength, their ingenuity, and it was all directed towards one purpose, survival. Their ship, the Indomitable, was proof of that. It was a fortress, a weapon designed not to conquer, but to endure. To protect. To survive at any cost. When I finally reported back to the War Council, I presented the scans, cold, unfeeling data that showed everything we had witnessed. The raw power of their war machine, the terrifying array of weapons and defenses that could obliterate entire fleets. The Indomitable wasn't just another ship in the galaxy, it was the epitome of human determination, built to withstand every conceivable threat. The War Council listened at first, their eyes narrowed as they examined the data. But the moment I mentioned humanity's true purpose, the Indomitables designed to survive against something greater than us, their eyes shifted. I saw the arrogance in their expressions, the dismissive flicker of disbelief. Humanity is still a fledgling species, they argued. They're still primitive in comparison to the galactic powers. But I knew the truth. We weren't dealing with an underdeveloped species anymore. No, humanity had evolved, and not in the way we thought. Their ship was not built for war with us. It was built for something else entirely, something far worse. The Indomitable wasn't just a ship designed to fight the galactic powers, it was a vessel built to survive against an enemy we had never even considered. As I stood there, watching the War Council's dismissal, my mind raced back to the scans, the way the Indomitable had bristled with weapons unlike anything we had ever seen. The railguns, the plasma lances, the missiles designed to warp space. But it wasn't just the weapons that terrified me. It was the secondary systems, those weapons of terror designed not to destroy, but to hunt. The boarding drones, the nanite swarms, the exot troopers. The humans weren't just building ships to fight us. They were preparing for something far darker, something they knew was coming. The Indomitable was a war machine, yes, but it was a war machine designed for survival. And the humans? They had built it because they had no choice. They knew something we didn't. Something they weren't ready to share. I could see the War Council growing restless. Their minds were too fixed on the idea that humanity was still beneath them, still beneath the galactic order. But I had seen what they had built. I had felt the weight of their strength. The Indomitable wasn't just a weapon, it was a warning. The humans had been preparing for something. Something that could not be ignored. I could see it now, as clearly as I could see the stars outside the viewport. Humanity was not building their strength to challenge us. They were building it to fight against something far worse than anything we had ever encountered. And the worst part? The War Council refused to see it. They refused to acknowledge that we might not be the apex predators in this galaxy anymore. They refused to acknowledge that humanity wasn't just a threat to be conquered, they were a force waiting for something far worse to come. As I left the War Council chamber, I felt the weight of their ignorance pressing down on me. They had dismissed humanity as a primitive species, too emotional to ever truly pose a threat. But I knew better now. Humanity was not the savage species we had believed them to be. They were survivors. And they were preparing for something far beyond the scope of anything we had ever imagined. And when that something arrived, humanity would be ready. And we, along with the rest of the galaxy, would be nothing more than pawns in a game that we had never even known existed. After I made my report to the War Council, I was granted access to classified intelligence on humanity, a decision I now regret. What I uncovered shook me to my core, a truth so horrifying, so incomprehensible, that even now, I struggle to fully grasp it. Over the past 50 years, humanity's technological development had accelerated at an unnatural pace. Their progress wasn't just incremental. It was like they had unlocked something, a door to knowledge, to power, that no other species had ever touched. The data, cold and unfeeling as it appeared on the screen before me, revealed a chilling truth: humanity was not preparing for war with us. They weren't building ships like the Indomitable to face us. They were preparing for something far worse, something that had already come once before. The truth was buried in the scans of wreckage, scattered across the edges of explored space. As I pored over the images, my mind could barely process what I was seeing. Ships, no, behemoths, massive vessels larger than anything I had ever encountered. Some appeared to be from races long lost to the annals of time, others were of designs I couldn't even begin to comprehend. And yet, they were nothing more than husks now, floating aimlessly in the dark. Destroyed. Shattered. Torn apart in a way that defied explanation. The damage was beyond anything I had ever seen. It wasn't just physical destruction, it was something deeper, something unnatural. The hulls of the ships were twisted, warped like metal softened by some unspeakable force. The damage wasn't just the result of weapons, no. It was as if the very structure of the ships had been consumed, eaten away by something with an intelligence and hunger that transcended anything the galaxy had ever known. I felt my breath catch in my throat as I zoomed in on the images. The wreckage was organic, metal fused with something living, pulsing with an eerie energy that seemed to shimmer in the scans. There were strange scars, like the remnants of something that had been torn apart at the molecular level. Some of the ships had been crushed from within, their insides ripped out in a violent, grotesque manner. It was as though they had been devoured by an unseen predator. Something with the power to break down the very fabric of reality itself. And then, the worst part. The worst part was the one word that haunted every scan, every report: Arabus. The humans had encountered this enemy. They had seen its power firsthand. And it had nearly destroyed them. I could feel my spine stiffen as I read further. The Arabus was not a single force, not just another warship or fleet of invaders. It was a presence, a force that consumed everything in its path. A force of nature. The reports I reviewed described the Arabus as something ancient, far older than any of the known civilizations. A being, or perhaps a species, whose only purpose was to devour. To consume everything it encountered, to strip away entire worlds and civilizations, leaving only devastation in its wake. It didn't stop at just ships or fleets. The Arabus devoured entire systems, entire star clusters. It was like a cosmic parasite, one that destroyed with a ravenous hunger that could not be quenched. And the humans, they had fought it. They had fought for survival, quietly, in the shadows, far away from the watchful eyes of the galactic powers. And they had been losing. They had been losing, but they hadn't given up. Humanity's Indomitable was not just a warship, it was a fortress built to survive against the Arabus. A ship designed not to win a battle, but to endure. To withstand the horrors of an enemy that could not be defeated by conventional means. The humans had prepared in secret. They had built their ships, their colonies, their technology, not for domination, but for survival. Each new colony, every new fortress they constructed, was a step in their fight against the Arabus. They had fortified their entire species, creating an impenetrable defense, a network of safe havens designed to outlast the coming storm. And what chilled me the most was the realization that the Arabus was coming again. It had been quiet for a time, but the signs were clear. The Indomitable was humanity's response, their answer to the threat they knew was inevitable. And they had not told us. They hadn't told anyone. They had kept it hidden, preparing in silence, watching and waiting for the day when the Arabus would rise again. As I sat in front of the data, my claws trembling against the console, I understood something I hadn't before. Humanity wasn't just a threat. They were the last line of defense. They were the only species prepared to stand against this dark, unstoppable force. And now, the Arabus was coming, and humanity's war had already begun. The scans showed more wreckage, more destruction, more signs of a battle long fought and still ongoing. The Arabus had never been defeated. It was a predator that could not be reasoned with. It was a force that consumed everything in its path. But humanity? Humanity had fought it to a standstill. They were still fighting, and they were preparing for the return of the Arabus, just as we had once prepared for their inevitable rise. They had seen the darkness in the galaxy, and they had decided to face it head-on. Alone. And now, they were ready. The realization settled into me like a leaden weight. This enemy was not something we had ever considered. It was not a war to be fought between empires, or species, or even civilizations. No. This was something deeper. Something primal. Something beyond the understanding of any of us. Humanity wasn't just preparing for a fight, they were preparing for a war against extinction. And that war was about to consume us all. The galaxy, once so vast and unyielding, now feels like a fragile thing, teetering on the edge of an abyss. I stand on the bridge of the Indomitable, the cold, black void of space stretching endlessly before us. The silence is oppressive, as if the universe itself is holding its breath. Beside me stands Captain Grant, his expression unreadable as he watches the darkness ahead. His eyes flicker across the array of sensor readings, and though he maintains his usual stoic demeanor, I can feel the tension radiating off him. The Arabus is coming. I had heard the rumors, whispers of an ancient enemy, a force that consumed everything in its path. But hearing about it, reading about it, is nothing compared to standing here, feeling it approach. It's like the very fabric of reality trembles in its wake. For the first time in my life, I feel small. The Arabus is not like anything we've faced before. It is not an empire, not a fleet of ships, not even a weapon of war. It is a presence, a force that adapts, that learns, that consumes. Nothing can withstand it. Nothing can escape it. We are nothing but prey to it, and the Indomitable, our fortress, our weapon, is merely a pebble in the path of an unstoppable storm. The scans are useless. We've sent out probes, tried to gather any useful data, but it's all the same, dissonant readings, impossible metrics. The Arabus bends and twists the laws of space itself, moving through the void like a creature of nightmares. The closer it gets, the more my skin crawls. It doesn't just exist in space, it warps it, twisting the very fabric of the cosmos to its will. I glance at Captain Grant, the human commander of the Indomitable, and I see the weight of responsibility on his shoulders. He doesn't say a word, but I can see it in the way his jaw clenches, the way his hands rest tensely on the console. He knows what's coming. The humans have always fought with a desperation that borders on madness. I've seen it in the wreckage of their battles and the terrifying war machines they've created. But it's different now. This isn't just another conflict over resources or power. This is their survival. This is their existence on the line. And they know how to fight. They've been fighting for centuries, quietly, building their strength, preparing for this moment when the Arabus would return. And now, the galaxy stands united. At the helm of this coalition is humanity. For all their faults, their chaotic nature, their unpredictable emotional impulses, the humans know how to fight when it matters most. They are ready to lead the charge against the Arabus. They have made it their mission, their purpose. And they will not yield. The Indomitable hums beneath my feet, its systems powered up, ready for the fight. The crew moves efficiently, each person working in perfect synchronization. Even the Exot troopers, their cybernetic limbs gleaming with lethal precision, stand at attention, ready for whatever comes. I can't help but feel a pang of respect for humanity. They may not be the most technologically advanced race in the galaxy, but they are survivors. And in the face of this unknown horror, they stand tall. They will not fall easily. I feel the weight of the truth settle in my chest. Humanity has become the last hope for us all. The galaxy, once divided, is now united by this common enemy. We are no longer divided by borders, by politics, or by species. We are all in this together, and humanity is leading us into the storm. The first ripples of energy pulse through the sensors. It's here. The Arabus is upon us. Our fleets move into formation, the combined might of every species, every civilization that still stands, coming together under the banner of survival. Ships from every corner of the galaxy, their hulls gleaming in the cold light of space, are now aligned. Some are human, some Virian, some from other species. They all share one thing in common, the will to fight, to survive. I watch as the Indomitable's weapon systems come online, the hum of railguns and plasma lances filling the air. There's no turning back now. The Arabus is here, and we are ready. We are prepared. But will it be enough? The Arabus emerges from the void, its form shifting and pulsing in ways that defy all logic. It's not a ship, it's something else entirely. It moves like a living thing, its dark hull shifting and flickering like a twisted, organic nightmare. It's vast, beyond anything we've ever seen, and its energy signature is unlike any we've encountered. Its form doesn't follow the conventional principles of physics or engineering, it breathes, it lives. I feel a chill run down my spine as its presence fills the sensors, a void that pulls everything into its grasp. Its shape is monstrous, too alien to comprehend, too horrifying to describe. It feeds off the energy around it, warping space itself with every movement, every flicker of its strange, pulsating form. The first shot is fired. It comes without warning, just a ripple of energy that tears through the void, distorting the space between us. A Vurian ship, caught in the blast, disintegrates in an instant, its entire hull evaporating into nothingness. The rest of the fleet fires back, but I can already see the result: it's useless. The Arabus twists, contorts, and adapts, its armor shifting like liquid, absorbing the energy from our weapons as if it were nothing. And yet, humanity stands firm. They fire their weapons, their railguns and plasma lances, sending a hail of deadly projectiles toward the Arabus. It's a futile effort, but they don't hesitate. They don't falter. They are fighting, with everything they have. We will fight together, I whisper to myself. And we will win. The battle is not over, not yet. The war is just beginning. And as the first wave of destruction ripples across the battlefield, I know one thing for certain: humanity will lead us into this fight. Together, we will face the Arabus, and we will find a way to survive. The Arabus is here. The darkness that has hunted civilizations for millennia now arrives at our doorstep. But humanity, once underestimated, stands as the galaxy's last hope. With the Indomitable at the helm, we fight for survival against an enemy that devours everything in its path. As the first wave of destruction hits, the galaxy holds its breath. Will humanity's strength be enough to hold the line, or will we be consumed by the very force we feared? The battle has begun, and the question remains: will we survive this war, or has the galaxy already lost? If you want to know what happens next, don't forget to like this video, comment your thoughts, and subscribe to HFY Sci-Fi Love and War Story for more of these thrilling stories. The galaxy's fate is in our hands, and the war is far from over.